it's not your imagination. Cruising doesn't feel the same anymore. And these changes are becoming impossible to ignore. So in this video, we're breaking down what's changed, the cruise trends behind it, and what cruisers should expect when cruising in 2026 up next. Welcome aboard, everyone. I'm Don B from Eat, Sleep, Cruise. And remember when your cruise fare actually covered your cruise vacation? Well, those days are long gone. Now the base fare is just the beginning. It's gotten to the point where you almost need a spreadsheet to figure out what you're actually spending on your cruise. From upcharges for extra entrees in the main dining room, to an increase in the number of for-fee activities and onboard attractions, to charging for services that were once free, like room service, these costs can quickly add up. Knowing these costs up front is crucial for budgeting appropriately when you take a cruise in 2026. Along with nickel and diming, cruisers tell us that the trend of charging for basic amenities has to stop. They feel like items like Wi-Fi, soda, bottled water, specialty coffee should be standard, not premium add-ons. While this is typical on luxury lines where these amenities are included, most contemporary lines charge extra for, well, essentially everything nowadays. Want a bottle of water to take on your shore excursion? That'll be extra. Need to check an important email? We'll get to pay for internet access. The frustration grows when you consider that hotels and resorts back on land typically include many of these amenities. So why should cruise ships be any different? To account for these add-ons, many cruise lines in the recent years have created add-on bundle packages like Celebrity Cruises, Princess Cruises, even Royal Caribbean is testing a bundle package as they briefly offered one as part of their Black Friday promotion last year. But even so, this is not the norm across the industry. Now, it's not enough that cruising has shifted away from a semi-inclusive model to a more a la carte pricing model with several upcharges. Cruisers are also pointing out on the increased number of sales pitches once on board, and sometimes the staff can be quite pushy. Whether it's the spa attendants trying to sell you products used during your service, photographers trying to convince you to buy an unlimited photo package, or the wait staff trying to push specialty dinners, bottles of wine, or even shots in the main dining room, we're looking at you, Carnival Cruise Line, with that one. Cruisers have had enough. They just want to simply enjoy their cruise without all the upsells. Another disappointing trend that we've been seeing, especially with many videos here on YouTube, removing gratuities seems to be one of the increasing cruise trends, and quite honestly, this needs to stop. Yes, it does seem like cruise gratuities continue to rise, with some being over $20 per person per day. And yes, we agree that tipping culture has gotten a little out of hand everywhere. However, we would still never recommend removing these daily service charges. Crew members work incredibly hard and rely on these tips. And yes, regardless of what other people tell you, the cruise line does give the gratuities to the crew members. Crew members are away from their families for months at a time, working long hours each day to ensure that we all have a memorable cruise experience. While some cruisers might argue that they'll just tip those who provide them great service, this doesn't take into account all the behind-the-scenes staff who also get a share of the gratuities, like dishwashers, laundry staff, cooks, and the like. We can debate whether or not gratuities should just be wrapped into the cruise fare, but even some premium and luxury lines, like Viking Cruises, still have a separate line item for gratuities so you know how much you're actually spending on these service charges. But the common sentiment from our fellow cruisers, which we do agree with, is that if you can afford to cruise, you should be able to afford to tip. Do you agree? Let us know down below if you've ever removed gratuities on a cruise. The cruise lines are reporting record bookings and record profits, and the way they're doing that is by increasing prices on, well, almost everything. Cruise fares are up, drink packages are up, shore excursions cost more, specialty dining is now more expensive, and as we just mentioned, those cruise gratuities have also gone up. You get the gist. Not only are you paying more for the base cruise fare, but you're also paying significantly more for all the add-ons that make the experience more inclusive. But when we asked fellow cruisers for cruise trends that they're noticing, increased prices was one of the most often cited cruise trends. And some of these increases have been substantial. For instance, drink packages that just a couple of years ago cost $50 or $60 per day now run $80 to $100 plus per day on many lines. While in an ideal world, no one wants to pay more for a cruise, the fact of the matter is that prices are up everywhere, from hotels to airfare to theme parks. Even a simple dinner out costs significantly more than it did just a few years ago. But despite the increase, cruises continue to offer one of the best vacation values when you consider that accommodations, meals, entertainment, and transportation between destinations are all included in one price. Now, of course, the cruise lines do run promotions and special deals throughout the year, but one of the best ways to ensure you're getting the best price for your cruise is to work with a certified cruise planner. Now, Heidi and I are not travel agents. That's why we partner with MEI Travel. We love working with our personal cruise consultant, Blair, who navigates all the options to find the ideal cruise line, ship, and itinerary, while always making sure we get the best available price and helps us take advantage of any promotions or inclusions. And of course, there's never a fee to book with MEI Travel. So scan the QR code on the screen or click on our exclusive link down below to get your free no obligation quote and start planning your next great adventure. But even beyond the cost, many of the cruisers we connected with point out how the size and structure of modern cruises are affecting the onboard experience itself. Now, of course, Heidi and I have sailed with 15 different cruise lines, and we love ships of all sizes, including mega ships. But we understand that for many passengers, bigger isn't necessarily better. With cruise ships measuring in at up to 250,000 gross tons, they really are like floating cities. In fact, some of these cruise ships have more individuals on them than the small town we live in. We do appreciate the variety that these larger ships offer when it comes to amenities, dining options, accommodations, and onboard amusements and attractions. But with larger sizes comes increased passenger capacity. Now, you might be sailing on a ship with 6,000 other guests, making you feel just like a number. It also results in crowds and lines around the ship and contributes to overcrowding in popular tourist destinations. Many cruisers wish that cruise lines would build newer ships that are smaller and more intimate. Now, maybe it's the crowding or some of the stress passengers feel to make the most of their time on board some of these larger ships, but we've all seen it. You head out to the pool deck around 8 a.m. on a sea day, and half the chairs are already claimed. No, they're not filled with other passengers, but rather with towels that were laid out hours ago while they've gone to the gym or to eat breakfast. Or maybe one person is staking claim on a whole row of prime poolside loungers while their family and friends are still sleeping or out doing other things around the ship. Now, the cruise lines over the recent years have gotten wise to this, and they now post signs indicating that unattended items will be removed. Most passengers just seem to ignore them, and honestly, few cruise lines seem to enforce them, and when they do, sometimes results can lead to arguments and confrontations, and this is true on all cruise lines, not just the cruise lines you're thinking about. Chair hogging behavior has become an awful cruise trend, and it even extends beyond the pool deck now. We see such behavior in the theater, the buffet seating area, and other places on the ship where individuals are claiming large sections or many seats for other cruisers that are simply not there. This behavior is rude, and your fellow passengers just wish that cruisers would stop reserving multiple chairs for other cruisers who just don't show up. Many cruisers report they don't like the trend of more and more short cruises dominating the market. While a 7-day cruise is still technically the most popular itinerary, cruise lines are increasingly focusing on 3 and 4 day sailings, predominantly visiting private destinations in the Bahamas rather than diverse ports of call. These shorter cruises are certainly appealing as quick, affordable getaways for first-time cruisers or those with limited vacation time. However, they don't allow for the unique ports of call or in-depth destination exploration that many cruisers seek. By the time you unpack, figure out where everything is on the ship, and settle into vacation mode, sometimes it seems like it's already time to pack up and disembark. This shift in length changes the overall atmosphere on the ship as well. The onboard vibe on these shorter cruises is often that of a party cruise, where the focus is less on the destination and more on maximizing the onboard experience, particularly the bars and nightlife, especially if you have the drink package, which doesn't always appeal to more seasoned cruisers. Crowding and scale also affect how much time and depth cruisers actually get in the destinations they visit. One knock many travelers have always had about cruising is that you don't spend enough time at the destination. While it is true on most cruises you usually just spend one day at a port of call, historically you used to get a full day. Well, more recently, even port stops are becoming too short for us seasoned cruisers. 6-hour port stops are becoming the new normal, and that's barely enough time to see or do anything, never mind experience any of the culture. What's the point of visiting a destination if you can't actually experience something there? Fellow cruisers report feeling rushed during their port stops and wish more cruise lines offered longer ports of call and more overnight stays. They want to explore at a more leisurely pace and not worry about getting back to the ship on time. Along with less time to explore ports of call, cruise lines are also increasingly swapping out ports of call with private destinations like beach clubs and exclusive experiences, especially in the Bahamas and the Caribbean, but several cruise lines are also extending these private destinations to other regions of the world. Don't get us wrong, we love some of the cruise lines' private destinations. They are great beach days with ample amenities and even options for thrilling activities. But some itineraries include not just one, but sometimes 2 stops at private destinations. In fact, we've done sailings where the only place the cruise ship stops are these cruise line run islands and private resorts. So many cruisers tell us that they miss the more authentic experiences you get outside of these cultivated destinations. They want more local culture, local food, and real experiences. Another disappointing trend is that we've definitely seen a shift in the food quality on cruises post-pandemic, and many other cruisers agree. It's particularly evident in the main dining rooms, with inconsistent quality across meals and across ships in the fleet. While cruise prices are increasing, the cruise lines are sourcing cheaper products to save money. In more recent years, our tendency is to pay extra to dine in specialty restaurants because the meals are elevated over what's served in the main dining rooms. Though some cruisers disagree and think that even the food in the specialty restaurants has declined. Aside from quality, cruisers also cite smaller meal portions, decreased variety in menus, and more upcharges on menus for items that used to be complimentary, like extra entrees. It was inevitable that we'd have to talk about washing your hands at some point in this video. While some cruise lines try to be playful with washy-washy staff outside the buffet, most cruisers still don't trust other cruisers' hygiene and want self-service buffets gone. We've all seen it. Someone coughs or sneezes right into their hands and then picks up the buffet serving utensils. Or someone bypasses the hand-washing stations and heads straight for the food. We've even witnessed passengers grab food items from buffet stations with their bare hands or with their own personal utensils. Super gross. And this is the main reason we typically avoid cruise ship buffets when other options are present. While some premium cruise lines do have staff in the buffets that serve you, even ultra premium or luxury lines like Oceania Cruises or Viking Cruises still have self-service stations in their buffets. So we wish we'd go back to the golden days where we used to have staff serve service at all the food stations in a buffet. Not properly sanitizing your hands is just one of the cruise trends that we've noticed when it comes to etiquette on cruise ships. As ships get busier and experiences more compressed, many cruisers also feel that basic courtesy on board has started to erode. Now we get it, since the pandemic, it feels like everyone has gone a little bit more casual, even in the workplace. But for many, the casual dress codes on cruise ships have just gone too far. Most cruisers aren't asking for tuxedos and ball gowns. Actually, in fact, most don't even like formal nights. However, several passengers voiced concerns over others showing up for dinner in the main dining room dressed way too casually. There used to be something special about dressing up for dinner, and we do miss that a little bit. We agree that t-shirts, shorts, and other beach-type attire doesn't belong in the main dining room. Yes, we also get that it's your vacation too, and you want to be comfortable. So if you don't want to change for dinner, simply go to the buffet or one of the other casual eateries on the ship. If you want to enjoy the main dining room, put a little effort into your dress code isn't too much to ask. Now, we completely understand if you don't necessarily know the dress code for the main dining room or for a particular cruise line, especially if you're new to cruising or haven't cruised with a particular brand before. And we get it, planning a cruise can feel overwhelming. That's why we put together a free cruise planning guide with everything we wish we knew before our first sailing, plus the insider tips and tricks the cruise line doesn't want you to know about, and printable guides and a planning checklist so you can stay one step ahead of everyone else on board. So scan the QR code on screen or click the link down in the description and we'll send it straight to your inbox. It's completely free and honestly, it could save you hundreds of dollars on your next cruise. Now, let's get real for 1 second. There's nothing more obnoxious than someone walking around a ship while having a FaceTime conversation or someone video calling a friend so they can watch the sail away party too. Better yet, someone who decides to use speakerphone on the bus transportation from a shore excursion or while sitting on their balcony while you're trying to enjoy some peace and quiet. Where has our cell phone etiquette gone in 2026? Frankly, the rest of us don't need or honestly want to hear your conversation. So use AirPods or take that conversation somewhere more private. It's just basic courtesy for everyone around you. When did we actually forget this? Because this isn't just a trend on cruise ships, this seems to be a trend everywhere we travel. Another disappointing cruise trend is elevator etiquette. You're on vacation and you don't have anywhere to be in a hurry. So why is it that rushing the elevators before people can exit has become the new norm on cruise ships? Even cruise ships that have smart elevators that auto-assign you to a particular elevator. The scene plays out consistently. Elevator doors open, and before anyone inside can step out, a crowd pushes forward trying to squeeze in. This creates a bottleneck that actually slows everyone down. We've watched people literally block the doorway while passengers inside are trying to exit with walkers, strollers, or just their personal space intact. If you simply let people off first, you'll get where you're going quicker. Alright, we might get some hate for this, but I'm okay with that. One cruise trend that many feel has to stop in 2026 are cruise ducks. What started as a cute idea has become an obsession for some. Now there are cruise ducks everywhere. And personally, this is one of the cruise trends we wish would stop like yesterday. We get it that many love hiding and finding ducks on cruise ships, but it almost seems like a form of littering. Everywhere you go, there are ducks. On railings, stairwells, public spaces, and even sometimes in inappropriate places. Which begs the question, who are actually leaving these ducks in some of these areas? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, some cruise lines discourage guests from hiding ducks altogether. Royal Caribbean is the only cruise line to actually ban cruise ducks. Well, they ban them on certain classes of ships and in certain areas, in particular on Oasis and Icon ships in the Central Park neighborhood. While we could go without cruise ducks, there's one cruise trend that doesn't bother us but seems to annoy many of our fellow passengers. With advances in technology, almost all cruise lines have an app that's becoming less of convenience and more of a necessity. It's basically crucial now to download and use the cruise line's app on your vacation. And if you don't, you're at a significant disadvantage. Want to see today's schedule? There's an app for that. Check your onboard account. App. Make a reservation at a specialty restaurant or a shore excursion. App. While it's convenient to have these services at your fingertips, it becomes a major problem when the app glitches, crashes, or won't load, which happens more often than the cruise lines would like to admit. Further, some cruisers report that they specifically go on vacation to disconnect and don't want to stare at their phones every minute. This app-centric model doesn't allow for unplugged vacation experiences. While we do use many of the features of most cruise lines' apps, none of them are perfect, and some are better than others. So we do like to go old school when it comes to the list of scheduled activities. We prefer the paper daily schedule and usually have to hunt one down at guest services. Many cruise lines have stopped providing them in your stateroom each evening. And even cruise lines that claim to be 100% digital still do have paper copies of the daily if you ask for them. In fact, that's one insider cruise secret that most first-time cruisers don't know, but it's not the only one. So click or tap on our Insider Cruise Tips video right here on YouTube. In that video, we give you the expert cruise tips and hacks that we've learned from over 100 cruises. They'll save you time, money, and ensure you're one step ahead of everyone else on board so your next cruise is smooth sailing.